What's up everybody and welcome back to the channel. Today what we're going to be talking about is how we plan on powering our ARB0 fridge freezer combo when we take off on our next trip. So stay tuned. Okay, today what we're going to be talking about is how we chose to power our refrigerator over getting a dual battery system. Now, I know a lot of people run dual battery systems in their Jeeps and their 4Runners, and I had looked at doing that as well. It's nice to have a little bit of a backup. The only problem is it's pretty expensive to do, but more importantly, we don't have a lot of additional lights that we run at any given time. Now, the lights that we do have on the Jeep are those 4-cal lights up on the hood, and on the new Smittybilt SRC bumper that we installed, it also has 2 lights that we have made controllable through our aux switch. Now, those lights will only be turned on occasionally when the vehicle is not running, so for us to invest all the money into a backup battery system didn't make a lot of sense. Not to mention, we already have the YETI 400. Now, the YETI 400 is what we're going to be primarily charging or running our refrigerator off of. It also will be charging our devices. So in my head, the way I have this worked out is we will be running the refrigerator off of the 12-volt cigarette lighter input in the back of the Jeep. At the same time, while we're driving, we can be charging the Goal Zero off of the 24-volt outlet that's also inside the Jeep. Once we get to camp, we can unplug the refrigerator from the Jeep, plug it into the Goal Zero. We can also charge up our devices. And then when we go to bed at night, what we plan on doing is unplugging from the Goal Zero and plugging back into the Jeep. Now, that may seem like a lot of moving around, and quite honestly it is, but the reality of how much we would have spent just to get a dual battery system for the one reason of having a fridge, it would have been like buying 2 refrigerators. Now, the price on that backup system, or the backup battery system, is roughly $1,000 with the bracket, all the wiring, and then the 2 additional batteries, because a lot of people replace the batteries that are currently in the Jeep. Now, Odyssey stopped making the battery that everyone was using for their backup battery system, so I'm sure there's another option out there, but it was just a whole thing that I didn't want to get into before we took off on this next trip. Now, in working through this and trying to figure out the best way to power the refrigerator, I knew I wanted to use the YETI, and I knew we were going to use the Jeep, but I needed to run some tests. And what we've done is we have ran a couple of tests in the garage of my house. Now, we would leave the door open in the garage, the sun would come in, it would beam down on the refrigerator. I would open it occasionally for about 30 seconds at a time to kind of make it like we were using it. So I did as much as I could to try to get a real life example of what it was going to be like. We are going to be in a warmer desert climate for most of our next trip that's coming up. And I wanted to make sure that we had what we needed in order to make it through that trip, and our batteries weren't going to die, and we would be able to get back to the safety, I guess you could say. So what we did is we would plug it in the morning, and I would let it run off the 24-volt plug off of the YETI 400. And I would plug that into the output or the input for the 24-volt in the ARB fridge freezer. Now, obviously running 24 volts, it would pull a lot more power and it would kill the YETI 400 a lot quicker. Now, that time frame was roughly 16 hours. I had woken up, came out, the battery was dead, the refrigerator was off, the temperature was about 46 degrees, so I just kind of guessed around at it. It had been 16 hours, so we probably got roughly about 14 hours worth of life off the 24-volt outlet on the YETI. Now, once I switched that over to the 12-volt cigarette lighter output, we got nearly 28 hours of use out of the fridge freezer. Now, we did the same exact kind of test. We left it in the garage in the heat. We left the garage door open. Sun was on it a portion of the day. We opened it several times to try to get as much of a real life gauge as we could. And for the YETI to charge it and keep it running for 28 hours, I would say that is like incredibly good. So what we did is when we plan on going to sleep, we are going to have the refrigerator plugged directly into the cigarette lighter in the Jeep, the 12-volt plug. Now, that should draw a few amps maybe off of that battery over the 7 or 8 hours that we're sleeping. When we wake up, we'll start the vehicle, plug it back into the YETI, and once we take off, we'll plug it back into the Jeep. Now, what we have is a Gulu jump pack. In the event that our battery does die, this Gulu jump pack, and I'll put the link in the description, will start your vehicle for you several times over. And that's just in case this accidentally does run the battery dead, we leave a door open, whatever it is. We always travel and carry it with us, so it's something we already have and we didn't have to spend on. Now, for me, I have the YETI 400, and this YETI 400 is not the lithium ion. We got the lead acid. So I don't know if that's going to play too big of a difference in how long that the 400 will charge or keep the refrigerator cold for, but it's something to consider. Now, we did a previous video about the refrigerator and we did some tests on it, so I'll link that up here somewhere. And we're gonna go out on this next trip and we're gonna see exactly what this little combo system setup is going to do for us. I'm not entirely sure if it's going to be our long-term solution, but in an effort to not spend more money recklessly, I've chosen to go this route, and I've read a lot of good reviews about how the YETI is capable of keeping this refrigerator running for several hours, and I can attest that that is actually true. So, if you guys like the video, like the video. If you don't like the video, go on to the next video. If you haven't, subscribe to the channel, and we appreciate you guys watching, and we'll catch up with you on the next one. Thanks.